Kids are dying, and it's not from vaping nicotine. These kids are dying from illicit THC vape pens that are being purchased off the black market through Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. Now, the news is refusing to report what the actual cause of death is in these cases, and that's putting more kids at risk because we don't know what to warn everybody about. All right, we need these parents to understand that they need to talk to their kids because they're buying this shit from either their parents' phones or their own through Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. It's ridiculous. My name is Milo, and I'm with 437 Vapes. In the last few videos, we have discussed how the CDC is intentionally misleading the public and how the FDA has already stated that nicotine is actually relatively safe and that you can use more than one nicotine replacement therapy at a time. According to Ursula, PhD, an associate professor at the Texas A&M College of Medicine, stated that as it turns out, nicotine actually has some neuroprotective benefits. The nicotine itself, when given independently from tobacco, could help protect the brain as it ages and even ward off Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Dr. Sally Sattel, addiction psychiatrist and Yale University School of Medicine lecturer, has called e-cigarettes the holy grail of public health. Why is nicotine being demonized? In 1998, a Master Settlement Agreement, or MSA, was reached between 46 states and the Big Tobacco Company for the stress that cigarettes placed on their healthcare systems. Now, this settlement stated that they would pay out almost $300 billion over the course of 25 years. Now, this was to be paid out through tobacco bonds that would help adjust for inflation, as well as taxes that would be placed on cigarettes, with the average tax going to the state of about 40 cents per pack. Unfortunately for them, since the year 2000, adult smoking has dropped 40%, and youth smoking, well, that's dropped 73%. Now, in spite of this, the tobacco industry spent $192 million since 1998 on marketing alone, and have even spent $1.5 million during the 2016 election, with most of the money going to Trump. But that wasn't enough. There has also been news of governors receiving money from Big Tobacco, with recently Gina Raimondo having $12,500 donated to her campaign. Who is Gina Raimondo? Well, she's a governor of Rhode Island, where they actually signed an executive order banning the sale of all flavored e-cigarettes. New York was another state to try and introduce a ban by executive order. Now, here I think it's important to note that New York is one of the biggest benefactors of the MSA payouts alongside California, the two states with the highest smoking ratio among adults and youth. So why all this talk about a youth vaping epidemic? Well, because if there's a youth epidemic, then it's much harder to prove that the benefits outweigh the risks when it comes to the FDA's approval, which is a critical factor when trying to stay on the market. And let's remember that this is the same administration that has approved meth for your kids and heroin for when you're in pain. Yet at the same time, the FDA recently approved the IQOS device, a device that's made by Philip Morris. Now, they say don't call it a vape, but on their website they describe it as having a nicotine-containing vapor. Now, CNN actually recently published an article essentially advertising the product and directing you to their store, which is the only place that you can buy it, which is now open in Atlanta. And let's not forget that the previous director of the CDC was forced to resign because of her conflicting interests. Now, she purchased tens of thousands of dollars worth of tobacco stocks. Considering they've been dropping steadily since 2010, did she maybe know something the rest of us didn't? During this whole ordeal, tobacco companies have been paying off health organizations to essentially call for the ban of all vaping products. They're in state health organizations, they're in the FDA, and they're in the CDC. There are almost 500,000 deaths per year because of smoking, and the big tobacco companies, politicians, and news outlets are all okay with letting more people die. You see, they're in it to try and save their money. We're in it to try and save our lives. And it's working, not just in general, but right now. As of October 5th, hospitalizations are down 75%, down from over 250 to under 60. Let's make sure that people know that this is working. In the end, these are the facts. There are almost 500,000 deaths every year in the US alone because of combustible cigarettes. And the politicians and big tobacco are okay with letting them die. Adult smoking is down 40% and youth smoking is down 73%. There is no youth vaping epidemic. It's just a bunch of teenagers who chose a better option than the cigarettes, whether on purpose or because Vape, another tobacco-owned vaporizer, hands them out at schools in exchange for your email. There have been 0 deaths from vaping nicotine. And in fact, nicotine by itself is not that harmful. So let's make sure the politicians hear our voice. Let's share the truth and save the youth. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with your family and friends. And last but not least, remember, we don't blow smoke.